Hello, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. All right, I am going to get started. A few people may join in as we go along, but I'm a firm believer in always starting on time and ending on time. And when we're talking about ending on time, that's truly what this session's about today. It's about finishing the year strong. Half the year is over, and you can get a little overwhelmed when you start looking at all of the things you have to do. And so how do we finish the year strong without trying to fix everything about us? That's what today's webinar is. And it's really just a taste of what you can do for yourself and your organization to think about where you can measure success by the end of the year. So while we wait, I would love to hear from a few people. Feel free to type it in chat. How are you arriving? Like, what describes your energy as you're coming into this first part of the year? And you can send those chats to me anonymously. You can put it in front of the whole group. Oh, I'm getting a couple in here. Oh, excited. Oh, super excited about it. You know, I actually am excited too. It's been a really exciting year. Confident. Good. So confident. Hopeful. Yeah, hopeful. That's important to feel like there's things ahead and looking forward to the projects you're working on and being excited about what's coming next. Tired. I have a couple of people saying tired. Yes. It has been exhausting. The heat has been really hot, and it does make a difference as you're thinking about the tasks you have to do and all the things you have to get done. Yes, I am caffeinated. Yeah, if that was your response for me, I'm always caffeinated because I want to have that energy and I feel engaged in it. I appreciate you guys sharing. Thank you for those that joined. Now, I got to tell you where this started for me in July. I had a moment like early this month, because I realized that I looked back at some of my plans and projects, and I was working with my VA, and I had this plan, and I spent a lot of time thinking about this plan. And I'll have to say, with the help of my VA, it was a very professional plan. I was going to host a webinar every other month. And then I realized that it was July and I hadn't hosted one yet. And you know that moment where you're just like, I had this goal. I had this dream, I had this vision, I had these plans, but yet time just keeps passing on, even if I'm not ready to go with it. And that's when I thought, you know what, maybe I don't have to do that same plan. That's when it's time to do a reset and think about what's really going to make a difference. Some of the things that we plan in the beginning of the year may not have as much impact for the rest of the year. Because here's what happens. We get into this mid-year trap. Half the year is gone. And then we get this sudden urgency about us. And we start stressing about things like our forgotten goals or projects that were supposed to be done by July or August that haven't even started yet. Conversations that we know we need to have. They're just weighing on us. And then sometimes it's not our own fault. All of a sudden, priorities change, opportunities shift. And so suddenly what seemed like a goal in the beginning is not as needed later on. And what happens often to us, especially as we think about development for ourselves and in our professional lives and our teams, is anything that was more about growth and not just getting things done slowly gets shifted to the side. And we get this thought in our head is is there any way that I could get this done by the end of the year? Is there any way that I could come up with a way of maybe not sleeping, getting up at 4 a.m., staying at work till 10 and get things done? And that's not a healthy way to think. It's not a healthy way to think about you. And it's definitely not a healthy way to think about your team. So there's some ways to think about this a little differently. And there's better questions that you can ask. Not, what's wrong with my team? What's wrong with me? Why didn't we get this done this year? And instead ask, what actually deserves the energy that I, my team, and organization need to put into this year? So today's promise, and I told you I started on time and I'll end on time. In this next 25 minutes, we're going to identify what is pulling on your energy and then separate that from what's just noisy. It's things that you maybe think need to be done, but they don't. And then decide what to do with it. It's something to pull, manage, water, or let sit. And then we're going to choose by the end of the session a clearish next move. I say ish a lot because I like to have flexibility. So we're putting that clearish as part of that process. The goal is to finish strong, better, not trying to fix and finish everything. So I'm using a garden metaphor. And in my book, I talk about how much time we spend pulling the weeds on ourselves instead of being focused on what flourishes. And it's funny that I use a garden metaphor because I cannot grow anything. If I had to have a garden, I would struggle because it's that consistency in maintaining it that's a struggle for me. And that means it also is a struggle for me personally. So this garden metaphor really helps me see clearly what I need to work on. Is it a weed? Is it things that I do that really drain my energy? They need to be managed because otherwise they can go out of control. But do they compete with what actually matters? Is it the plants, things that have real value, create real impact, our growth potential, or align to our purpose? Or is it the soil itself? That's our capacity, our energy, our focus, our time, our health, our attention. When we start to think about all of the things going on in our garden of life, it's clear to see which one of these fits, because then you can determine how to manage it more effectively. Because I promise you, as overwhelming as your to-do list may look, not everything on it is a weed. A weed is something that's unfinished. A weed is something that pulls energy from what stops you growing. But some things need to be pulled, and some weeds need to be managed, and some things in your life need to be watered. So a weed could be a noisy distraction that just keeps hitting at you and keeps you unfocused on what you're doing. It could be that you have to add capacity and growth. So a weed could be taking away from where your energy or focus could be somewhere else. You could have a strong seed of growth that needs to be watered and needs attention, or a plant that needs to just add extra tasks to get done and get completed and fulfill its purpose. So we are going to use a weed filter to really understand how to weed the garden, because it's really simple. It's aligned to purpose. But more importantly, it makes you focus deliberately and intentionally on what you're trying to do that can create an impact and what you're trying to do that needs to be released. Oh, I appreciate the comments about how weedy a garden can get. Thank you. Absolutely. So the W is the first question. What's pulling your energy? This is where you can list, and it can be fun. It can be exhausting. List it all. List the goals, list the projects, any distraction, any habits, any unfinished items that need your attention. Evaluate with the E, the impact. Does it have an impact at all? Is it affecting your credibility, people's trust in you, your actual energy, outcomes, your well-being? And then examine the urgency. And this is something that we often neglect to do. We set goals and we set priorities and we set projects that need to be done. But once we look at the actual impact, is it something that needs to be done now? If it waits, is it fatal, costly, or is it really just something that's noisy? It's just something that's nagging at you that needs to be handled. And then finally, the D, where you can decide whether to pull it, to manage it, to water it, or just let it sit. Some things can just sit. So let's start with this W and kind of break it down a little bit more. When you think about the what, think about what's taking up space. Could it be a goal, a project, a habit, a growth area? This is not a time to judge it. You're not going to sit and say, oh, this is a good goal, and this is a bad goal, this is a project I wanted to do, and now I don't. At this point, you are just releasing. You're making a list. Just name it. Because clarity really does start when we stop being vague with the pressure and really name what's actually taking up space. Then in the E, in evaluating the impact, you can look at that credibility, trust, energy, outcomes, well-being, and you can rate it on a scale. How much credibility is this? Is this something that's going to create a lot of credibility for me? Is it something that it would be nice to have, but it doesn't have that impact? It's thinking about these webinars. I had this reflection when I was working with my VA. The reason I want to do the webinars is I want to get my message out. By doing it consistently, it creates credibility. So it brings up a credibility trust. It brings up outcomes because I'm hoping that people see it. So I can measure each one against this by evaluating each of those lists, each of those items on my list. But then I have to examine the actual urgency. There was really only one person that knew I had to do these webinars. and that was my VA, Dora. So the urgency was internal and external from Dora. I didn't make a big announcement until now on LinkedIn or any other platform that I was going to be doing these webinars. So before, the urgency was not very high. But now that I have made this announcement and I'm putting out this first one, it's now increasing the urgency. Is it fatal? Is it fatal to my career, fatal to my relationships, fatal to my business? It's probably not fatal, but it does have an impact, and it could be costly. It could cost my credibility. The last one to look at is that D. So this is where you have to decide how to manage whatever those tasks are. If you determine that it doesn't have a significant impact and and the urgency of it is fairly low, so it just seems to be noise, then pull it, remove it, reduce it, delegate it, release it. It's draining energy from you or your organization that you just don't need. If it's something that does have an impact or does have some urgency, well then how can you manage it? Could you create a system that creates the content or gets things done? Can you try a different process or a different way? Can you have a conversation about maybe giving some more time for something or delegating it? This is where we talk about the soil and look at ways to manage that soil with capacity. If you have a project that needs to be done, maybe there's some ways you can look at some of the other projects you're doing and say, I'm going to release those to open up that capacity so that I can complete this. That's managing it. When you talk about investing and watering it, it means doing something with a mindset of growth. This has value. This has purpose. So I'm going to learn something from this task. There's a lot of different tasks you can do, but when you change your mindset to how can I grow with it, then it shifts where the urgency, the impact is. Maybe it's not very impactful to the business, but really could impact your growth and development for the future. And then if you look at it and it's like, well, I know it's something that we should do. It could have an impact later. There's not really a sense of urgency, but I don't want to not do it. Then maybe it's delaying it with intention. Maybe it's looking at, I'll change it next year. You can even do this with your own personal goals as well. If you're thinking about, okay, I want to be healthier in my eating. If there's not a sense of urgency and the impact would be good, but it's creating a lot of stress, then maybe let it slide and just learn one other task that you can build that onto the next year. So for a guided practice for you, this is what I want you to take away. I am going to send an actual takeaway tool for you to use. And this tool is going to go through how to figure these out for yourself. So I want you to, in your mind, just pick one item and run it through the filter. Think about something that's currently really pulling your energy and write it down. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to do that, and you're free to share it in chat if you want, but you don't have to. Oh, I'm seeing a couple come through chat. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. All right. One thing pulling your energy. Sales calls. Okay. So that's a big one. Yeah. Oh, the implementation of a new software for your team. Oh, that's a big one too. Yeah. Okay. All right. I've given you enough time. You should have one in your mind. Don't start making the list now. I know it's easy once you start doing it. I just wanted you to pick one. Now, as you're thinking about it, because it should have been the first one that came to your head, take it through that first. What area is being impacted? Is it your credibility? Is it your trust? Is it energy? Outcomes? Measure that first. Okay. Outcomes. I'm getting outcomes. I'm getting energy on a couple too. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, great. Now assess the urgency. Is it fatal? Fatal to your career, fatal to your health, fatal to your organization? If it is, write it down as that. Is it costly? If you don't handle it now, it's just going to keep costing money later on. Or is it just noisy? Yeah, it sounds like that system is going to be costly. Yeah, right? It has an impact. If you don't change it, I can see that. Okay. Nobody's saying fatal. At least they're not putting it in chat. That's always good to see. Yeah. Doesn't that feel like a release when you realize that things aren't fatal and you don't have to do it right now because it's not going to kill you? Okay. All right. Last one. What does it need? Does it need to be pulled, managed? Is it something that you need to think about growth and watering it? Or is it something that can just sit? Interesting. Pull it. You know what? You could delegate that to somebody else. You could hire somebody to do it. If maybe it doesn't make sense that you're doing that right now. Maybe that's not what your best impact is going to be. That's why it's good to do this full list of everything. Now, here's what I want you to take away with this process. And here's why it's valuable to take the time to do this activity. We just picked one thing to look at. Just imagine if I had given you 20 or 30 minutes to write down all of your tasks. can be a lot. It can feel overwhelming. That's why breaking it down into smaller pieces and really determining the impact, what needs to be managed, what the urgency of it is, and then how to best manage it can help create some clarity. Because here's what's funny. Clarity doesn't come from complex plans and ideas. You don't need to go out and find another book on how to prioritize. You don't need to take another workshop in it. You just need to kind of focus. It doesn't require you to go to your local store and buy a new color organizing binder. Look, I love office supplies. I have way too many. So I could see myself going out and buying a new binder thing. Well, this is what's going to help me get it clear. It's not. It'll just look pretty on the shelf. It doesn't take more meetings that you have to like connect with people and find out who's going to do this and that. It doesn't take a new personality. You don't have to change who you are. You should be very aware and confidently flawed in what you know, what you do, what you bring. You're not broken. You're not perfect either, but you don't have to fix yourself. You don't need a new personality. You are perfectly perfect who you are today. And it doesn't allow for a shame spiral to just keep beating yourself up over these goals, especially those goals or projects that maybe started 2 or 3 years ago, not 6 months ago. You just need a better way to look at it, a better way to focus your energy. That's what creates clarity. So when you think about that decision, this is when you can start saying, okay, I'm on the D now. What do I need to do? And as a decision point, you should be asking, what are the real results that I'm looking for? And what next step do I need to take? The last one on here, I think, is always key. I shared with you that my plan was in my head. I shared it with my assistant because I wanted accountability for it to be done. And guess who could support me? She can. But you have to be willing and open to ask for help and have somebody hold you accountable, even if it's something that's a personal thing that you're working on. And the focus plan is in the handout that you're going to get, so it'll walk you through that tool because you want to have actual measurable steps as you're looking for ways to develop. And the reason I say make it clearish is because I think there needs to be some flexibility in that planning, because reality is priorities do shift. Noise does come around. Weeds can take over. So if you're clearish and you have it very clear and have clarity on what you want to do, what are you focused on? You know what the impact is. You've already done the work to process that. You know that it's essential. It's something that's going to be different. It has a sense of urgency. You've got your action steps. You know what you're going to do. And you have a way to look to see when is it going to be reviewed? Who's going to hold me accountable? The big takeaway I want you to get from today is to pull what drains you. Identify those activities, those tasks, those projects that really deplete your energy, but don't add any value. Manage the things that matter. Make sure you prioritize the commitments and projects and tasks that you've made that align with your core objectives, your purpose. Water what grows. Invest in resources and in growth mindset to show promise and potential growth. Protect the soil. You need to allow for that capacity, your energy, your focus, your time. It's not something that you can't just give up. It's not an unlimited resource. Finishing strong doesn't mean that you have to fix everything. It means fixing the things that make a difference. So your next big move, that's what I want you to think about. Before you leave today, pick one thing to either pull, manage, or let sit. That's your takeaway. And I'll hold you accountable because I'm going to send the email with the tool and I'm going to ask, share with me, share with the rest of the world. I'll hold you accountable. I can promise you. My VA, she'll hold you accountable too. For your team, if you enjoyed this today, I thank you for coming and I appreciate your feedback, your comments, your participation. If this is something that you think would be good for not just you, but for your whole team, guess what? Your team doesn't need another meeting to relook at all the goals on the list and start to eliminate things. It needs a process. It needs a filter. It needs to know what should we be eliminating? What needs to be pulled? What do we have to manage because it has an impact? It has a purpose. It's aligned to that. What can we use to grow and develop as a team and enrich ourselves? And finally, what can stop taking up space? We had some brilliant ideas as a team at the beginning of the year. We know what we wanted to work on. We had thought it was a great plan, but maybe it's time to put that plan for the next year, especially if we don't see a measurable impact from it. I just gave you a 30-minute for yourself with the tool preview, but I'm would love to come and spend time with your team, and then we could do it in a virtual environment. So I am offering to the people that participated today and anybody that watches the replay a Finish Strong Lunch and Learn for this year. And spots are limited. I only have a few spots available, but it's going to be, you can do it in Q3 or even Q4 to think about what you're planning for next year. Normally, this webinar for a virtual 60-minute session with some updated content and customization will cost about $1,500. But for people watching this replay and the people that are attending today, I appreciate you. So I'm offering it at a $500 price, and I'm really excited and honored to do so. Thank you so much for joining today. I just honored and appreciate how many of you have read my book and have given me comments about it. You can, if you haven't read the book and want to learn more about pulling the weeds or understand how you're not a renovation project, or even worse, get off the hamster wheel of self-improvement, you can order it from Amazon, and I have a link in the email that comes out with this replay. But I want you to take these key things away. Remember, not everything in your garden is a weed. You can't just scrap the whole garden. You got to decide what needs to really be dealt with. Some things need to be pulled. Some things need to be managed. Some things need to be watered and enriched. The content and concepts from today came from my book, Confidently Flawed. Thank you so much for joining. It was nice seeing everyone. Hope to see you again in the next webinar. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Thank you.